Are you wondering how you can have more connected relationships? Maybe it's in a romantic partner, maybe it's in family or friends, or just generally people. Well, today I'm going to talk about one essential that I've learned that's really helped me with my relationships in my life. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra point for you then as well. As always, if you want to connect with me further, you can find my social media links in the show notes below. I was reflecting on this very recently over the weekend, and I was thinking about like when it had worked out, particularly in like the dating scene, if I'm honest, or like romantic relationship sort of side, and friends and family and networking as well, of course. And I noticed like certain patterns when I was doing really well with people or a person I was seeing or whatever, or me and her got on or whatever, or when it wasn't, like in other situations, right? All sorts of situations, all sorts of relationships. And I really had in particular, for many years of my life, I've had a difficulty building really true, genuine connection. And that obviously shows up a lot more with a romantic partner and that side of things, or even, dating someone. And what I notice is the more work I've done on my nervous system, on calming myself and regulating myself, even though before that, before I came across any of that work, I was like this excitable guy. My kind of like nervous system, and I wasn't like nerves like shaking like all over the place, but I was like unstable inside. And people can sense your energy, and that's what I really learned. So people compliment me a lot more now. They're like, "You really seem like a lot calmer. You really hold the space when I'm like facilitating breathwork sessions." I've learned that nervous system regulation is that one thing, that one. It's not the be all and end all. Obviously, we've got to learn like good conversation techniques. We want to learn active listening, all these kind of things. They often come from having a very regulated, calm nervous system now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the nervous system today. It's the key to energy, and energy is what people feel off you. You can say all the right things. If you've not got the right energy, people can sense that. Maybe you've been in that spot and you're just like, oh, maybe you're on a date or you're seeing someone and you're like, I'm saying all the right things. I feel like I'm doing all the right things and they seem pretty responsive. And then something just didn't seem right. It seemed off and then they just didn't want to see me anymore. Or maybe it's like, yeah, I thought that went really well. A really good conversation with those people. But yeah, they just don't seem to want to talk to me anymore. Maybe at a networking event or just like a friendship group. And it can be frustrating, right? Well, here's some points I want to share with you that you can start implementing on how to regulate the nervous system. First of all, I would recommend learning about it. So basically, essentially, if I'm going to make it a very simple sort of overview about the nervous system, you've got the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. So two sides to it. So the sympathetic nervous system is very much concerned about the fight or flight. It's all about like when you're stressed, you're activated, and that would be very useful if you're in a life or death situation. It'd turn on, and you'd run away quicker. You get adrenaline and cortisol. The problem is we get caught in all kinds of stress. Maybe you can identify with this. I certainly can, particularly like work deadlines and all this information that's being thrown at us like 24/7, right? Like social media, the media, and everything like that. So it's quite easy for a lot of us to be in this fight or flight, and it's something I've had to work through a lot because I used to be like excited and like anxious, and that was very much me in my fight or flight a lot of the time. Now, by the way, I'm not saying I'm not like in that stage now because you can go through like different parts of your nervous system all the time. Like it's never like you're going to be calm 100% of your time. I still have to work on it a lot. I make sure I prioritize it. So I would recommend learning about the nervous system. So you've got like the parasympathetic, which is calm and regulated. Then you got the sympathetic nervous system, which is like fight or flight. And also the parasympathetic's also divided. It's got very, very much a calm part of it where you're just regulated, you're able to connect with people, you're a lot more present. And then there's also a part of it where you use as a kind of freeze response. You may have come across a fight or flight or freeze, but when you're the sort of like, this is when you're tired, you're exhausted, not in a good way, you're maybe a bit down, maybe a little bit depressed. That's the other part of it. So obviously the part of the ventral vagal that is ideal to be in is like that calm, resourceful place. So first of all, I'd recommend learning about it, because then you can start to understand how you can activate different bits. And there's something called the polyvagal theory flip chart that I'd recommend you search for on Amazon as well. Now, the second thing I'm going to share with you is breathwork. Breathwork, I talk about, and I'm a practitioner. So if you ever want some guidance on breathwork, feel free to message me, whether that's like a short free video or you just want a longer session that I also offer as a service. Yeah, just feel free to reach out, and I just do one-offs as well. But yeah, breathwork has been a key for me, and that's why, I do it, because I'm a big fan of it. It's helped me a lot in my life. And going through the breath can really help you go through those different systems. So breathwork's not all about being in that calm parasympathetic nervous system. It actually allows you to move through like the sympathetic nervous system into that fight or flight response a little bit more, because you need to feel your emotions. I believe we need to feel our emotions. But the beauty of breathwork is it allows you to navigate and more naturally be able to get to a more resourceful state more often than not as well. So I'd recommend breathwork, and I would look up somatic breathwork practices on YouTube. Again, if you want any more guidance on breathwork, feel free to reach out for me. I'm a trained practitioner. And then the third one I'd recommend is practicing going through the different systems. So maybe you've got different situations. There's one where you're something that makes you feel really calm, grounded, happy, excited, happy where you are, right? Maybe there's a memory you've got in your head, and just write it down. And then think of something which actually makes you feel really drained, exhausted, you want to hide away, maybe a little bit down, and list that as well as the second one. And then the third one, when we go into the sympathetic nervous system, is something that really makes you stressed, like cortisol, which is a stress hormone in the body, is rising high, and you're really, really on alert, and it's like making you angry, might make you anxious, might make you super stressed, or a combination of all of those, right? So write a situation down for that. And then what you can do for 5 to 10 minutes each morning or evening, whenever you find a time, is to practice feeling through those different situations and seeing, and the more you practice this, it's going to allow you to get to that more calm, resourceful state more often than not. And the beauty of all these practices is when you're able to get your system into a more calmer state, quicker, more peaceful, calmer state, more often than not, and more quickly, even when it gets stressed. Again, it's not to say you're not going to feel bad things in your life. We're human beings. But that's going to allow you, I personally found, it's allowed me to have a different type of energy, and people pick up on energy. If you read the polyvagal flip chart, it'll tell you about how we co-regulate. People are always picking up each other's energy. We say things and maybe different tonalities and things, and we may stand or sit in certain ways, yet the energy that's coming off is coming from our nervous system. So I got a final point for you as well. I want to mention again, though, that if you want to connect with me more on social media, you can find my links in the show notes below. One thing I'd recommend is just noticing people around you, whether it's friends, family, or just strangers, and just start noticing their energy and start like picking up on it. Maybe notice someone and you start feeling, oh, they're in a bit in like fight or flight, or you notice someone else, you think, oh, they look a bit drained, they look like a bit like they're in freeze mode, or you notice someone who seems very calm, very relaxed, and you're like, that person seems very like resource grounded. And the thing I would say as well, there are a lot of people who are like high achievers, do really well, like earning lots of money, good jobs, completely driven the majority of the time on that fight or flight, because it's like stress, go, 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 go. We also hear stories about people who pass away before their time because they got so much stress as well that builds up from that. So I found when I practiced this and worked into a more calmer state, it's really positively impacted on my relationships with people as well. So that's what I got for you today. I appreciate you for being here. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.